You know what absolutely grinds my gears? The so-called wrestling experts who had the audacity to write off Big E. They said his career was over. They said we'd never see him in a WWE ring again. They even had the nerve to suggest the New Day should move on without him. Well, guess what happened just 3 minutes ago on SmackDown? Big E proved every single one of those doubters wrong. And let me tell you something else that's got my blood boiling. While some fans were already moving on, planning New Day's future without their heart and soul, Big E was fighting through the darkest period of his life to make this moment happen. If you ever doubted this man, if you ever counted him out, you owe him an apology. Drop it in the comments right now, because what we just witnessed wasn't just a return, it was a resurrection. Let me paint you the picture of what went down tonight. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around, because Grayson Waller's reaction alone is meme-worthy gold. The scene was set on SmackDown. The New Day, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, were in the ring, and honestly, you could feel something was different. There was this electricity in the arena, this unexplainable energy that veteran wrestling fans know all too well. It's that feeling when something massive is about to go down. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Grayson Waller, Mr. 9, the face of SmackDown, strutted down to the ring with that insufferable smirk plastered across his face. You know the one, that cocky, punchable expression that makes you want to reach through your screen. He's been running his mouth for weeks about how the New Day is finished, how they are relics of the past, how SmackDown belongs to the new generation. Quick question for you guys, who do you think talks more trash, Grayson Waller or MJF? Let me know in the comments. Waller grabbed the microphone and started doing what he does best, running that mouth of his. He was going off about how the New Day needs to accept reality, how they are incomplete, how they are living in yesterday's glory. Kofi and Woods stood there, and you could see it in their eyes. They were done with the disrespect, but they didn't move. They didn't say a word. They just smiled. And that's when Waller should have known something was up. The arena suddenly went dark. I mean pitch black. Wrestling fans. And then, that familiar music hit. The music that we haven't heard in over 2.5 years. The place absolutely erupted. We're talking earthquake-level crowd reaction here. When those lights came back on, there he was, Big E, standing at the top of the ramp in all his glory, looking like he never missed a single day. The man who was told he might never walk normally again, let alone wrestle, was back on WWE programming. Now, let me take you back for a second, because you need to understand the magnitude of this moment. The 11th of March 2022, a date that will forever be etched in wrestling history for all the wrong reasons. Big E suffered one of the most horrific injuries we've ever seen on WWE television. A broken neck. Not just any broken neck, a fractured C1 vertebra. That's the kind of injury that ends careers. That's the kind of injury that changes lives. Doctors were concerned he might have permanent mobility issues. Wrestling? That seemed like a distant dream. But Big E isn't built like the rest of us. This man has the heart of a lion and the determination of a champion. He spent over 1,000 days rehabbing, working, grinding, pushing through pain and doubt that would have crushed ordinary people. And tonight he showed the world why you should never count out Big E. Here's another one for the comment section. What was your reaction when Big E's music hit? Were you watching live or did someone have to tell you? I want to hear your stories. Back to the action. Big E made his way down to that ring, and with every step, the crowd got louder. Kofi and Woods were in tears, wrestling fans. Actual tears. These brothers have been together for over a decade. They've shared championships, WrestleMania moments, and now this incredible return. But let's talk about Grayson Waller's face for a second, because oh boy, this man went from cocky to absolutely terrified in about 2.5 seconds. His jaw literally dropped. He started backing up, looking for an exit, calculating his escape route like he was in a horror movie. The man who had been talking all that trash suddenly looked like he wanted to be anywhere but that ring. And you know what? Good. He deserved that fear. You don't disrespect legends. You don't mock people who've given their bodies to this business. Waller learned a valuable lesson tonight. Careful who you provoke, because karma has a way of showing up, and sometimes karma shows up in the form of a 290-pound powerhouse. The New Day reunion was beautiful. The three of them came together in the center of the ring, and you could feel over 1,000 days of pain, uncertainty, and longing just wash away in that moment. Kofi grabbed Big E in a bear hug that lasted what felt like forever. Woods couldn't stop smiling through his tears. This is what wrestling is about, people. Not just the moves and the matches, it's about these real, authentic human moments. But here's where it gets even better. Big E grabbed a microphone, and in true Big E fashion, he didn't waste time with flowery speeches. He looked directly at Waller and said something along the lines of, and I'm paraphrasing here because my hands are still shaking from excitement, "I've spent 1,000 days thinking about this moment. I've spent 1,000 days getting back to this ring. And if you think for 1 second that I'm going to let some discount version, wannabe superstar disrespect everything we built, you've got another thing coming." The place went absolutely nuclear. Waller tried to respond, tried to recover some of that bravado, but his voice was shaking. He attempted to talk tough, saying something about Big E being rusty, about him not being medically cleared, about him being a shell of his former self. Big mistake. Comment below what should happen next. Should Big E and Grayson Waller have a match, or should Waller apologize first? The New Day started circling Waller like sharks smelling blood in the water. For a moment, it looked like we were about to see Waller get demolished right there, but, and this is the smart storytelling that WWE does well, security and officials rushed the ring, creating separation. They are protecting Waller for now, but you know this is just the beginning. Let's talk about what this means for WWE programming going forward because the implications are massive. First off, the New Day is complete again. Do you understand what that means? One of the greatest fact irons in WWE history, a group that has won multiple tag team championships, that has headlined WrestleManias, that has sold millions in merchandise, they are back at full strength. The tag team division just got a huge shot of adrenaline. With Big E back, you've got to imagine championship aspirations are in the New Day's immediate future. But here's the question, will Big E return to in-ring competition, or is this a managerial /character role? WWE has been intentionally vague about his medical clearance, and while we're all praying he's fully cleared, we also want the man to be safe. Drop a comment, would you rather see Big E return as an active wrestler or in a manager /mouthpiece role if that's what's safest for his health? And what about Grayson Waller? This man just painted the biggest target on his back. You thought he was arrogant before? Wait until he spends the next few weeks trying to prove he's not scared. Waller's going to do everything in his power to show he's not intimidated, which probably means he's going to run his mouth even more. The boy never learns. There's also the Austin Theory connection we need to discuss. Waller's partner in crime has been noticeably quiet lately, but you know he's going to have something to say about this. Could we see Theory and Waller team up against the New Day in some capacity? Maybe a tag team match where if Big E isn't cleared, it's Kofi and Woods representing while Big E coaches from ringside? The possibilities are endless, and that's what has me so excited. Here's something else to consider, Big E's return comes at a time when WWE is absolutely on fire. The product has been incredible lately, storylines are compelling, ratings are up, and now you add Big E back into the mix? We might be heading into a new golden age of WWE programming. But let's get real for a second, and this is important. Big E's return isn't just about wrestling moves and championship belts. This is about a man who faced the absolute worst-case scenario for his profession and fought his way back. This is about perseverance, dedication, and refusing to let circumstances define your destiny. Think about what he's been through. The initial injury that could have paralyzed him. The surgery. The months of not knowing if he'd ever be the same. The emotional toll of watching his brothers continue without him. The doubt that creeps in during those dark 3 a.m. moments when you wonder if you'll ever achieve your dreams again. Big E went through all of that and came out the other side. Final question for engagement, who's the toughest person in WWE, physically or mentally? Make your case in the comments. Tonight's return sends a message to everyone in that locker room and everyone watching at home, never give up. Your comeback can be greater than your setback. Big E is living proof that with enough heart, determination, and support, you can overcome the impossible. As we wrap this up, I want you to do something for me. If Big E's return inspired you in any way, if it reminded you why you love professional wrestling, if it gave you chills and made you believe in the power of perseverance, smash that like button. Share this video with every wrestling fan you know because they need to see this. Grayson Waller thought he could walk all over the New Day's legacy. Tonight, he learned a valuable lesson. You can mock, you can disrespect, you can run your mouth all you want, but eventually, the real ones come back to remind you who built this house. The New Day is complete, Big E is back, and Grayson Waller, well, he's about to find out what happens when you poke the bear, or in this case, when you poke 3 bears who've been waiting 1,000 days for this moment. The WWE landscape just shifted in a major way, wrestling fans. The next few weeks are going to be incredible. Make sure you're subscribed to Wrestling Zone 1 because we're going to break down every single development in this story. New Day rocks, and Big E's back to make sure it rocks harder than ever before. Don't forget to drop those comments answering all the questions throughout this video. I want to hear your thoughts, your reactions, and your predictions for what's next. Let's get this comment section lit. Until next time, this has been Wrestling Zone 1, and remember, never count out the champions.